Welcome to Startup Office Hours. Some technical difficulties today. LinkedIn Live and Restream and YouTube and Facebook were not all cooperating. So here we are live on YouTube, often here anyway. So good to see you all. We just passed the 20,000 subscriber mark, by the way. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to get going here. And just let me click around a little bit to make sure we're not leaving everybody behind over on LinkedIn. When these systems don't work, obviously it's frustrating for everybody. And I apologize for the delay. So let me I'm going to copy this link over there so that we can have our friends who are trying to join us over there come over here. So give me 1 second. Just wanted to let you know that I wasn't ghosting you all. I was wrestling with the internet gremlins. So, okay. Let's say we are live on YouTube today only. Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties. Not my fault, but doing our best to catch up here. Okay, so we're going to get going. Hopefully some of you are over here as well. I know a lot of you are on LinkedIn, but I couldn't get it working. So here we are. So the chat will get going here in a minute and be happy to see you there. And if you have questions or you want to try a pitch, I guess with this system, I can't bring the people on. So I guess this is all going to just be me talking. Sorry, that's not as interesting perhaps, but we'll do our best. Okay, so let me start at the top since we're starting a little behind the ball here. I'm Scott Fox. I run the Startup Council. We're a global community service group that I started to help early stage entrepreneurs find more money, build better teams, build better products, meet more customers, et cetera, creating the flywheel of success and international startup acceleration that I think everybody deserves to participate in. I've written these 3 books behind me over here, actually. These are all about how I personally became an entrepreneur and started building things online and made some money doing it. And I'm working on 2 new books as well and hope to be sharing those with you in the coming months or years. And we're going to be on online now for an hour or so, taking your questions and maybe some investment pitches as well. So Alexandra, wow, that's a long name. Alia Cassandra Denusio. Sorry. Yes, the pitch participant does not work. Yes, this is it, I think. Unfortunately, not. I apologize. The other systems that we normally use are not cooperating today. Maybe there's something off going on in the internet because 2 of our 4 systems are down today. Talk or to lecture you guys. Supposed to be interactive, usually more interactive than today, but you can talk to each other in the chat. Go ahead and ask each other questions, give each other advice, put in your LinkedIn profile or share the URL of your website or your app or whatever it is you're working on. And we're here to connect over to startupcouncil.org, just like it's shown right there. And we have, at this point, 7 different email newsletters that are free, and we can help connect you to all kinds of things. That's what we're doing here. And it's a community service group supported by sponsors, and some of the, any of the services we have, we offer at cost. I'm really trying to fill in the gaps that I saw when I was an early stage founder, trying to help you, for example, these are the things that our newsletters are about. Find investors, publicize your startup, find events that you can go to, even if you don't live in a big major city, like if you don't live in the Bay Area, you can attend things online these days, right? We have newsletters about all of those. We have service providers we can introduce you to if you want to meet attorneys or accountants or designers or developers. All these kind of services, I'm trying to fill in the gaps. There's no money to be made here. It's all just trying to help you guys level up. And the sponsors and the minimum charges that we have are just so that we can cover the costs and help you accelerate and fill in the pieces that you need to build the castle that you envision in your mind that's going to help put your dent in the universe. So, we're going. Yes, I can see that. I'm sorry, Alan. Also, I see your message there. The platforms are not cooperating, so I can't let you guys into live chat. Sorry, that's not going to work today. So I'm just going to put this in the. No pitches today. The platform is not working. Our apologies. YouTube only today. So text, chat only. I know, sad face, right? I'm going to add an emoji there. Okay. So, Okay, so while we're here, those of you who are in the chat room, you're welcome to ask any questions, or I can just keep talking. I'm pretty good at that, and I'll be happy to fill in any gaps that you have if you want to post suggestions or questions in the chat room as well. So just back over here for a second on LinkedIn to see if this is working. No, it is not. So you all can complain to LinkedIn. I'm sorry, and I see a bunch of you. Yep. You're applying and prying. And okay, so if you see this later or you're seeing it now, a couple suggestions. Don't send in things in 10 minutes before the show or the first 5 minutes of the show, as a bunch of you are doing right now. I can't react to those. Okay. We need you to do it in advance and send things in. And then we're happy to feature you. Okay. Priority is given to folks whose startups are listed in the National Startups Directory. The National Startups Directory is a service that we built to help you publicize your startup. And here's the offer. If we can get that to focus. There we go. Help new investors find your startup so they can invest. And there's dozens of listing categories. This is at nationalstartupsdirectory.com. And you can try it for free for using the code NSD beta, as you can see right there. And the idea here is to have a centralized directory. Remember, there used to be a phone book. Maybe if you're younger, it was your parents' generation, but we used to have a phone book that listed everybody. And there were even specialized industry directories or phone books for special industries, specialized expertise or connections. And this is what I'm trying to recreate this here. So you guys, if you come and list here, then investors can find you. We're trying to create a standardized listing, normalize the data in geek speak, and help people reach out to you because they found you online if they want to invest or partner or maybe co-founders, things like that. So that's the National Startups Directory. And if you list there, next time, when hopefully the platforms are working again, those folks that have done that will give priority in terms of answering their questions or helping them with their practice their pitches from everybody. Okay, so okay, so I'm going to just keep talking here because that's about the best we're going to do today. It looks like, unfortunately. So yes, all right. So what we're going to do today, then, I guess, is mostly I'm going to talk about some things. Actually, I was at a local university yesterday, and I was there as a guest speaker talking to a group of women entrepreneurs, which is a great audience. I'm very happy to support female founders and investors, for that matter. And we talked about a couple things that I thought might be interesting today. So until you guys arrive with questions, I'm just going to talk, and maybe this will be a short show today. But because this is all we're going to be able to do, given the other platforms are not working. So the topic that I came up with was in response to questions, right? And the director of the center chimed in with some good thoughts, and I'll integrate some of those as well. And it was this: there are many kinds of startup businesses, but not all of them are eligible for venture capital funding. So if you are here and you want to practice your pitch because you want to raise money from angel investors or venture capital investors, exactly right. That's what I specialize in helping with. But that doesn't mean that those are the only kinds of businesses, right? There are lots of businesses in the world. And frankly, VC-funded businesses are only really popped in the last 20, 25 years, right? This is a newish thing, or 30 years perhaps. And venture capital used to be a very small niche of very risky finance that most people didn't know anything about. But the media has taken to covering it like it's the whole world. But the reality is most businesses today continue to run by bootstrapping themselves from customer revenues, and then maybe they supplement that with debt from banks. That's like, I don't know the numbers, maybe somebody in the chat room does, but that's like 95% of the world, honestly. VC is a tiny, tiny fraction of that. Of course, it's very exciting because you may raise $1 million from people you don't know, and you can build some cool app or software and deploy it worldwide fairly inexpensively, and it can go viral and explode, right? And that $1 million can turn into $1 billion, literally. But to be frank, that's just about as common as winning the lottery. And you know how often the media loves to cover lottery winner stories too, right? These are common themes. Everybody wants a get rich quick scheme, and they want to get there faster. And the media loves to cover that. But that's not what venture capital is. It's a specific type of finance that's dedicated to funding a specific type of business. If you're not that kind of business, don't waste your time with venture capital. Seriously, there's a lot of other ways to grow businesses. And people get caught up in this cycle of trying to identify VCs and angel investors and then spamming them, essentially, when your time could be much better spent working with customers and building a real business. So there's a couple of these categories of fantasy money that are honestly really, really hard to get. And those include venture capital, angel investors, government grants. There are these things like people act like there's some kind of like your Cinderella at the ball and the Prince Charming is going to show up and rescue you, with this big infusion of capital. And that may happen. And I am here 100% to help you do that if you're that kind of business. But you may not be. And that's my point. And that's what we talked about yesterday with this group of women entrepreneurs, because some of them were very talented ladies, some great experience and application, expertise that was going to make things happen, but maybe not venture fundable. So one was a consultant, and she was helping small businesses raise money from grants. Very cool. A legitimate business. Another was a nurse who wanted to do in-home healthcare for seniors. Wonderful. Aging in place is a big issue in our society right now, and there's not enough nurses. So could be a very good business. There were others around apparel or drinks, juice sort of things, and kombucha, that kind of stuff. All great businesses, potentially, if they lean in and make it happen. But that's the assumption, is you're going to have to lean in and make it happen. VCs don't fund those kinds of businesses usually. They just don't. So you don't want to spend all your time working your way to get to that venture capital conference or pitching a bunch of VCs when that's the wrong room. You want to find the right room. And that's your job, is to do the research first and figure out if it is angels and VCs. Fine, absolutely. That's what I do. I'm here to help, and we can talk more about that. But don't sell yourself short thinking that that's the only way to raise the money you think you need. Frankly, I'd rather see you not raise money. Bootstrapping is how most people build businesses. And you'll be much better served if you can, building a product that customers really want, talking to those customers a lot instead of talking to a bunch of investors, hoping they're going to give you money, dilute your control, dilute your ownership, give you a new boss, and then maybe affect the progress that you could have been making talking to the investors and to the customers while you were wasting your time talking to investors who probably weren't going to invest anyway. Okay, so that's my opening lecture for today, and I apologize, I'm doing a lot of talking today, but it looks like some of you are here. If you want to put some questions in the chat, I will start addressing those instead. And if you want to follow up on that point, happy to do that. So what do we got in the chat? Please tell me where you are too, also, like geographically. I'm sorry that things aren't working. Give me 1 second. I'm going to just pop over back to LinkedIn and see if anybody's over there as frustrated as I am with this. Okay, well, no comments pre-live, it says. Okay, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, so, all right. So Los Angeles, San Jose, excellent. Nice to meet you guys, or see you guys. Some of you have been here before. And let's see. Okay, so Taylor says, now Taylor, this is perfect. I know you sent in, look, I have it printed here. I was ready to talk to you about this, but like I said, the platform's not working. And and Alex, I see Alex, you wrote in too from Germany, right? Okay, so let's talk about your thing. I'm sorry that we can't pitch. And actually, you know what, Taylor, Alex is in Germany, so it's nighttime for him. So I want to talk about his a little bit first, and then we'll talk about yours, and then we can keep running with the rest. And Paul from Dubai, what time is it in Dubai? I'm trying to think. It's late at night, or it's the middle of the night. Gosh, Paul, well, thanks for being here. Okay, let me talk about Alex. Alex, luckily, so here's a good example, guys. 23, it's almost midnight. Okay, so Paul, if you have a question, you can chime in to get you to bed before too long. So this is what I'm talking about, writing in earlier, right? This is really helpful. And some of these are from days or weeks ago, right? Like, oh, Anton, I see you were here as well, audio producer, right? Anton wrote in a month ago, right? After my last session. And that way I had time to look at this. So perfect. I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you. So Alex and Anton and Taylor, we're going to cover your stuff because you're the ones who sent it in. Awesome. Next time, please go list in the nationalstartupsdirectory.com too. All right. So here's what Alex wants to talk about. I'm going to read this for you, Alex, and hopefully this is kind of the pitch he was going to give. So I'm going to summarize it, but then we'll talk about some of the strategic issues because I read this and I have some questions or maybe even problems for you. Okay. So Alex says, he's from Germany. My startup is a super app called Sunlot, focused on connecting retail, entertainment, and social impact through introducing philanthropical retail and utilizing Web3 infrastructure. Sunlot is an app and physical environment expressed through periodic offline product exploration events to enable consumers. The mission statement is impact times beauty to enable conscious consumption, aka philanthropical retail, through connecting retail, entertainment, and social impact. The unique value proposition is threefold: immersive physical product exploration and entertainment, two, redistribution of profit towards social causes, and three, Web3 to secure consumer data. So that sounds amazing. And this is the part also where other guys and gals in the chat room, go ahead and chime in if you have suggestions or feedback as well. So here's my feedback, Alex. And I don't know you, and I don't want to offend you, but I do this show because I'm trying to help. Okay, this is way too complicated for any investor to understand, my friend. I mean, it sounds amazing, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is so big picture, and I would love for you to be right, because all the things you're saying are cool, right? Connecting with communities, finding new ways to experience products in the real world. I think we need that because we're all just on Amazon.com all the time. Conscious consumption, systematic redistribution of profits towards appropriate social causes. So that's charitable, very cool. Gamified monitoring interface in the app, fun. I mean, dude, I get what you're saying, like in the abstract. This is super cool, but that is so complex. Investors aren't, frankly, investors aren't looking to change the world. They're looking to make money. So what you didn't say in any of this, and I know you probably would have done this if you could actually talk to me today, and I apologize again, but maybe next time we can get it right and you can refine based on what you think is valuable, if anything I see. You don't say anything about money. Like, how is an investor going to make money? How are you going to make money? So connecting, and I mean, I can make some guesses. I've been doing this a long time, but so I could guess there's probably, I don't know, there's e-commerce, right? Or some kind of product placement or affiliate programs, blah, 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 advertising, obviously. Super stuff. But you're building like the Taj Mahal, right? You're building the Roman Colosseum, some really complicated big thing. And most investors want to know how you're going to make the first dollar. Where's the first dollar coming from? Because I don't want to fund you for 3 or 5 or 8 years to build the Taj Mahal. I want to put in $1 and get $2 back. That's all I'm looking for. And if you can do that quickly at scale, and we can put it in $1 million and make 2 million, or 100 million and make 2 billion, that's the goal of venture capital investment, right? So I apologize, Alex, you're female. I wondered about that because you said Alex on this, but Alexander sounds more female. Okay, I apologize. So anyway, great concept, but I think you need to break it down into pieces. What's the business model? That's what investors want to hear, is what's the business model? The vision is cool, but the products that solve problems for customers that make money is where you got to start. So this is the kind of thing where a lot of times founders, and I do this myself, you're kind of doing this 80-20, where you spend 80% of the time on the product and the vision and only 20% of the time on the business. But this is what I call the Fox reversal. You got to reverse that. Investors are 80% interested in the return on investment and how you make money, and only 20% interested in the big picture and the eventual realization of your vision. Because from experience, you may be the exception, but in 99.9% of the other cases that I've seen, and I think every investor in the world will back me up with this, most people with that vision never make it that far because they're so busy thinking big picture, they don't know how to break down the steps to make money that can fund that vision. And we're not here to fund the vision. We're here to fund a business. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. That's kind of abstract also, but I think it sounds amazing, but you need more specifics, and you need to focus on the business. Like, how is the money made? And I see, okay, so you're in the chat room. Great. Revenue streams or product margin, brand ads, subscription for extended services, event tickets. Great. Also great. But that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 different things. How are you going to do 4 things at once? I know that you're thinking, or I'm guessing you're thinking, and I don't know you. I'm just trying to help, okay? I'm trying to be your friend here. Investors are going to look at this and say, most people can't do one of those well. How is she going to do all 4 of those at the same time? I'm not going to give her my money to figure that out, right? So you need to figure out, again, first dollar first. What's the first product? Where's the easiest place? Who's the customer that needs this? Because that's the other thing. This sounds amazing, and it does. But what's the problem, right? I think you need to get crisper about the problem, solution, and how that leads to money. And I think that would help you a lot. With AGI on board. Okay, well, if you're waiting for general intelligence, then that's a whole nother story, right? So you're really talking a future vision, and that's not what investors are interested in. I just want to be honest with you. Great, I'm glad you use AI. Good, I do too. But that doesn't mean you have a business, right? You need to figure out how do you make money, and start with that. So thank you for being here. I hope that that's helpful, not discouraging. I'm here to encourage you. But this, honestly, this is what I did with my first startup. I'm telling you from personal pain. My first startup, this is, God, almost, no, not 30, 20, well, 25 years ago, I was in the music industry. I was really loved music, especially when I was younger. And my vision was to integrate a whole bunch of parts of the music business and bring it online. And I won't get into the details. And I raised venture capital, put in all of my own money, a bunch of my friends and family money, and lost it all because it was too complicated, too forward thinking, too much about what could and should be done, not what about I was actually doing and how it made money. So maybe I'm traumatized by my own experience and projecting that onto you. I'd be happy to be wrong. I hope you're right and can build this. But I think the pitch I can guarantee you'll raise money faster if you focus more on the business. Okay, so thank you, Alex, for being here, staying up late. Okay, and there's Sebastian from London checking in. Nice to see you. Okay, you don't get traumatized. Good, thank you, Alex. I hope that's helpful. Good, thank you for taking that in the spirit with which it is intended. All right, so who was up late next? So Paul, Paul's midnight. We can do next. I said I was going to do Taylor next. He's in my time zone. He's here on the West Coast, but Taylor wrote in. And by the way, I can't do all the fancy captions I usually do, so I'm going to have to do commercials verbally. So please go and join this. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like and comment on anything you see that we do on LinkedIn. That drives everything. I do this for free. We're just trying to help. So the more you can help back with a couple clicks and comments, would really appreciate it. The newsletters here are designed for you, as are all the services, really just trying to help you. This, what I'm talking about right now, it occurs to me, it sounds a lot like what I do. We have a service specifically if you want to send in your pitch deck. And I have to charge money for this because when I do things that are one-on-one, it doesn't scale. And I'm trying to help a lot of people. So this costs real money. But if you go to businessplanreviews.com, businessplanreviews.com, just like it sounds, you can upload your deck and I will do a video offering you suggestions, right? So kind of what we just did with Alex, but more specific to your actual pitch. And that would be what we'd have to do today because again, the platform crapped out on us. So we're doing the best we can on YouTube. But for later, if you want to work more together, there's actually a page at scottfox.com, scottfox.com/workwithscott that talks about the different angel groups that I work with and the funds I'm an investor in and how you can apply to those. Also, how you can book private consulting calls with me or this video deck reviews. And I'm pretty easy to find. So if you want more of my help, please go and investigate. We're happy to help. Okay, so Taylor's up. So Taylor is from Los Angeles, and Taylor is the co-founder of Wilcox Funding. So I'm going to have to read this again because Taylor was a genius and sent this in early. Thank you, Taylor. And Taylor, can you help me avoid what I did with Alex and tell me whether you're a Taylor a man or a Taylor a woman, just so I get the pronouns? I guess it doesn't matter much. It needs more, but I can call you they, I guess. So Taylor is they provide non-recourse loans to plaintiffs in lawsuits, helping them cover immediate financial needs without relying on traditional loans. So this is interesting. This is an interesting business model. Taylor, you've been here before. I recognize your name. I remember hearing about this. Plaintiffs often face significant financial strain, unable to borrow from traditional lenders. So at Wilcox Funding, Taylor is a male. Okay, he offers plaintiffs a solution. Thank you. Funding tied to the settlement of their case. So this is I think the concept is I have a lawsuit and I might win $1 million, but until I get the $1 million, they loan me some money kind of in advance. In just under a year, we've funded over 100 plaintiffs working with over 20 law firms and loaned over $620,000 with a projected revenue of $240,000. That's really cool. We're seeking a $5 million credit line to expand operations and grow rapidly. Thank you for your time. I look forward to discussing this opportunity. Okay, well, I guess I will discuss it. I'm sorry, Taylor, that we don't get to discuss it in person, but I'll give you some feedback today, and maybe hopefully we can do it next month. It's Thanksgiving, isn't it? And then it's Christmas. Okay, I'm not sure what our schedule is, but one of the things that we do at startupcouncil.org, one of our sites is startupevents.org, and all of you are invited. Go over there. It's free. We post all the virtual events that we can find worldwide that focus on startup advice. So it's free. You can sign up, and that way you can find things to attend in addition to mine. I don't own the internet, obviously. We're trying to help everybody. So that's a clearinghouse that we built to help you find more events, startupevents.org. I think I have logos here. Maybe this would help. Visuals are nice sometimes. Give me 1 second here, Taylor, and then we're going to talk about, this is also giving me a little chance to think while I dig up. Yeah, I do have logos for all of these. Hold on 1 second here. Pulling up my notes, because I've heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I think it is too. So here we go. Bang. National Startups Directory. That was the first one I talked about. And then here is my multi-purpose. Okay, so nationalstartupsdirectory.com. You should try that. This is the other one, startupinvestorsdirectory.com. That is, it's just what it sounds like. It's a directory of early stage startups. And you can get in there and you can search on all kinds of keywords and location and stage and sector and people that are interested in Black founders and veterans and LGBTQ and whatever, your characteristics are. You can search for all that. So that's a great service. Startupevents.org is the one I was just talking about. That's the listing of a calendar, a worldwide calendar of startup events, and startupcouncil.org. You can see that on the wall behind me. And then one more here. I just wanted to share this since I'm doing this. This is our commercial break, I guess. Startuphelpers.org. So this is the newest one. And this is a a directory of startup service providers. So these are people listing who want to help you. And these they pay to list there, right? This is like the Yellow Pages phone book. So it's lawyers and startup software developers and designers and content marketers and all those things. And the idea is these are folks who specialize and want to help startups. So as opposed to, an accounting firm that only serves Fortune 500 companies, you can find an accounting firm that would help you. Okay, so Taylor wants to talk about this concept of his, and what's exciting about this is not just an idea. He's actually funded over 100 plaintiffs and loaned out $620,000. So looks like the average loan is not huge, a few $1,000s, and they have actual revenue, projected revenue. I guess that's based on repayment of the loans, right? So this is interesting. So it'd be fun to talk more about it. I'm sorry we can't do that today, Taylor. So my feedback, I guess, would be this is maybe an example of you're in the wrong room. And why I'm saying that is the idea that, I'm a VC guy, right? So frankly, I don't know where you're going to find a $5 million credit line. I don't talk about debt ever. I don't know much about it. I know more than most people because I'm a financial person, but the line of credit you're asking for is almost an investment. So what it didn't say here is, what I'm saying is, for everybody listening, actually, if you're talking to angel investors, which is what I am, or venture capitalists, which I also kind of am, I guess, we only do equity. We don't do debt. We kind of do with convertible notes, or you can argue that, but lines of credit are not something that I know much about. You need to talk to a bank or a private lender, and there are private lending facilities, and you are a private lending facility, right? So I'm trying to be helpful. I just honestly don't know very much. I'm the wrong guy. That's what I'm saying. So this is an example of where you want to do a lot of research. Everybody, not just Taylor, but think about where you're spending your time and really drill down and spend, instead of 80% pitching and 20% research, again, the Fox reversal, spend 80% on research so that you really know the people you're reaching out to can help you, that they have a track record of doing that kind of thing. And if you do the 80% investment up front, then the 20%, when you're actually in the room, you'll be in the right room and you'll do way better, right? You'll get more attention and more funding, frankly. So if anybody else has ideas about lines of credit, please chime in the chat room, because this sounds like a legit business, and Taylor could use some help. And he tried to bring in, he came in early and submitted as he did everything right, and we can't really help him. So I feel bad, but I hope that's helpful. The other thing I would be doing, Taylor, is going to events. you got to go to stuff, and you're probably doing that because you're here, right? So again, maybe it's something that's obvious to you, but you might find events, like I said, at startupevents.org, where there would be discussion of lending. There are certainly people that do this. There's lots of people that, frankly, there's a lot more people that do lending and lines of credit than there are venture capitalists and angel investors. That's the way most of the world runs, is on debt. So I wish I could help you more. I'm brainstorming here as I'm talking, dragging this out because I'm trying to think. I mean, I would start with, could this be an SBA loan? There are specific loans. You're in the United States, the Small Business Administration, the SBA, they do loans for small businesses. I would also try the Small Business Development Corp, SBDC. You're in LA, so I know they have offices in LA. SBDC, they do free consulting. This is true for everybody in the United States. SBDC has offices nationwide, and it's your tax dollars, so it's free. But they're waiting, and they have specialists and all kinds of stuff. And honestly, a lot of times the SBDC folks have less experience in VC type funding, and I have had people go to the SBDC and not have a lot of success because everyone they met were from more traditional businesses. That's not so much true in California because we have a lot of venture capital sort of folks around here. But if you're going to an SBDC in Kentucky or or Texas or something, there might not be the expertise there. But you know what they will have, Taylor? Debt. People know about debt because that's the traditional business. So I would contact some SBDCs. There's also SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives. SCORE, just like it sounds. Google that one as well. And they have just what it sounds like. It's a Service Corps of retired people. And a lot of them are, in any of these cases, angel investors, SBDC consultants, Service Corps of Retired Executives, volunteers, or whatever else might be happening in your local town. Google this stuff because there are lots of people like me. We've made some money and we want to help other people. And usually we have some expertise. I'm waving the red flag and surrendering, or is it the white flag? What do you when you surrender? Anyway, I'm surrendering because I don't know much about debt, but there are plenty of people that do. So invest a little more time and get in the right room, and I hope that can help you. Okay. Okay, so yes, let's do a commercial for Alan, and then we're going to go to, so that was Taylor. Taylor, I hope you'll come back. Let me know what you found because we could share that information with other people. And if I'm just wrong, I'll be happy to be corrected. And maybe there's tons of that asset investment opportunity available. Okay, Sebastian, we'll get to you in a minute. Anton is here. I'm going to do Anton next again because he wrote in, but Alan was, Alan, I will. So where's your pitch, Alan? You said it was in the chat room. It is not in the chat room, my friend. Can you put something in there? And then I will talk about it. All right. So we're going to, where did I say? Anton. So Anton is from San Jose, and he wants to practice his investor pitch. So I'm going to do my Anton imitation, and audioproducer.ai. So, if he were here, Anton would say compelling things about the market problem and solution, about the product, how far we are, about the future, where we can bring the company, a couple words about the team and the investment opportunity. That's a very nice outline, Anton. My question would be, could you do all that in 2 minutes? Because we do very short pitches here. So that's the kind of thing you should practice. I go to pitch competitions all the time, and it's stunning the number of people who run over their time because they just didn't practice. And that's such a bad use of your time. My tip is actually, if you have 5 minutes, do it in 4. If you have 10 minutes, do it in 9. If you have 15 minutes, do it in 12. Why? Because you want questions. Don't just lecture. Questions are where you engage, where you start to build relationships with the investors who are usually the judges. When people come, like at Tech Coast Angels, I'm part of TCA, which is one of the larger investment groups in the US. And we have people all the time, and our format is, I think it's 12-minute pitch and then 6 minutes questions or something like that. And the number of people that talk for 15 minutes and they've lost half their question time is staggering because they just didn't practice enough. You want to get those questions in because that's when it forces, because otherwise we're just sitting there. We're on our phones like, oh, here's another pitch. And we'll listen to the first 30 seconds like, oh, that's not my thing. And then we'll get on our phones or on our laptops. I've seen people fall asleep. When do they wake up? When you start talking to their friends, right? And their friends start asking questions, and that engages everybody's brain. And that's it's much better entertainment, frankly, for everybody. So don't talk too much. Practice so you go under, not over. Okay, sorry. So So here's the cool part about Anton's thing. I saw this when you wrote in, Anton. P.S. My startup is an AI tool that converts books into immersive audio dramas. It may cost as high as $50,000 to create a multi-voice audio drama, but my tool does it for only $200 using AI. Super cool. Okay, so this is cutting edge AI stuff, obviously, and it sounds great. I don't have a lot, again, apologies, the platform isn't working. Yeah, as you said, he just said in the chat room, I don't know if you guys can see that. I sadly didn't put much details into the email. Exactly, because you thought you'd be able to talk about it. My apologies. Okay, but I will tell you this. And for everybody, AI is such a fascinating place right now, and it's moving so fast. I would be, as an investor, I'm looking at what you're saying. I'm like, that's very cool. Obviously, you must have seen Notepad, which is a tool that Google released a week or so ago, 2 weeks maybe, that can take articles and turn them into a podcast. So it can take a dull article about whatever, academic sort of topic, and it creates not just a reading, it brings it to audio, but it creates a discussion between two artificial intelligence generated characters. And the ones I've heard have been like a male and a female, and they sound like real people. And they don't just read the article, they discuss it. And they sound just like me. They're like, oh, really? Well, what did you mean by that? And like they ask real questions. So that sounds like Google's already there. So Anton, this sounds super cool. I would just be super concerned that Google's about to do what you're doing like tomorrow. So I'm sure you have thought of that, but that would be my concern as an investor. So again, from the outline in your pitch, your pitch outline sounded really good, but kind of like Alex earlier, I didn't hear much about the business. You talked a lot, at least in the what is this 5-line little summary you gave me. It wasn't about the revenue. It wasn't about the return on investment. It wasn't about the market opportunity. Even how are you going to make the first dollar? And okay, here we go. I'm being difficult here, Anton, but I'm calling you out. You just said in the chat, our focus is on context and character AI with deep focus on novels. That's awesome to you. I don't care. Like I'm just kind of joking. Of course I care. It sounds interesting, but I mean, investors, you need to be answering me. How do you make money? Right? That's what you're talking about is, again, that 80-20 thing. You're 80% interested in the product. That's cool. And that's your job. You're the founder. You love the product. Cool. But that's not me. I'm the investor, right? What's the business? I'm 80% interested in the business. I'm only 20% interested in the product and the product vision and how cool the AI is. If it doesn't make money, I'm not interested. And VCs, you should note this, guys, VCs literally cannot invest unless they're convinced it's going to make a lot of money. That's their job. They have a fiduciary obligation. That's a legal term. They have a job and they have to invest in things that are going to make money. Unless they're like an impact investor or a charity or something, right? Or maybe family offices have some discretion. But most venture capitalists raise their money from insurance companies, pension funds, endowments, and their job is, we're going to take your money and we're going to put it in things that we are convinced are going to make you a lot more money. And if you don't focus on that, the rest is noise, distraction, right? It's a reason to invest, but let me put it this way. Everything you're saying sounds super cool. Like as a consumer, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I'd like to try that. And as an author, right, I've written these books. I voiced these myself, right? I spent days in this weeks between the three of them, and we did multiple versions of some of them. I've spent a lot of time in the studio reading those books. Now that we can do that like that, right? So I think it's interesting. But as a business, where's it going? How much does it make? That's got to be much more forward in the pitch and in the discussion, because without that, we literally we got other people who are making money. So I would much rather see. Let me give you an example. I would much rather see a pitch. I'm talking to everybody, not just you, Anton, but I'd much rather see your pitches. And I'm speaking as a generic investor. We would much rather see your pitches if we had a choice between really interesting product and the vision you have for the future and your team and how you're going to spend the money, which is many pitches. I would much rather see no details about the product. I don't even care what the product is, but you say we're growing 20% a month, we're capital efficient, so we only spend whatever, 50 grand a month, and we have a runway of 2 years because of money that we've raised already and current income, and we have a net promoter score, that's really of 97 because everybody loves us, and we have zero churn. I mean, I'm making that up, right? But if you lead with numbers like that, nobody's going to get on their phone. They're all going to listen. And I didn't say a word about what the product was because it doesn't matter at some level, right? And I know that's hard for entrepreneurs to understand. And that's one of the reasons I do this show, because I used to be that way too. I'd go into meetings and I'd talk about what I was going to do and how exciting it was and all these integrated opportunities and blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't matter unless you know how to make the first dollar first. So, okay, now he said the thing. Now he hit me. Look at this. I don't know if you guys can see this. Finally, after all that, he says, blah, 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 blah. We have a great revenue plan. Okay, that's closer, but it's still just a plan. But of course, you got to start somewhere. It will be close to 2 million in revenue in 2026. So that took me what, like 8 minutes or something to get out of you? Man, that's the point. The 2 million in revenue is the point, right? So start with that, right? That's what we're here to hear. So I hope that's helpful. I mean this in a good-natured, fun way, like pretend we're at a bar having a beer together, okay? I'm your friend, just trying to help you out, man. This is how investors think, right? Everybody. It's about the money. Okay, Sebastian. Caio says, Caio Enrique, I don't know where he's from, but Sebastian's from London, so it's getting late for you. Let's see. My case, solo first-time founder, pre-product, pre-revenue, building a cloud infra tech SaaS without traction feels a bit hard to even being listened to by investors. Yes, that's exactly, Sebastian. A couple thoughts there. Investors are not interested in listening to you unless you have traction. That's the simple answer. I could stop right there. If you don't have some traction, we don't need to listen to you anymore. The idea that investors are interested in pre-revenue startups is kind of outdated. There are just too many startups. Everybody's into VC and startups now. So why would we be interested in pre-revenue stuff when there's so many revenue-based ones? That's just how it is, right? And nobody wants to say that. And I know all of you are going to unsubscribe now and hit dislike, and this guy's a dick. But that's the truth. We don't need to talk to unfunded and pre-revenue startups. So what do? All right, so now I have to try to be more positive. There's kind of two buckets I would put this in. One is go get some revenue. Like, I don't care what it looks like, get some revenue. Or at least demonstrate traction. So this is going to be a big part of my next book. How do you show traction when you don't have revenue? And that's kind of where you are, especially if it's an infrastructure company. You probably have some capital costs, right? You probably can't do this at all without some money. And if you're not one of those people who's blessed with, a multi-million-dollar parents, like I was, then you are going to have to hustle. So how do you demonstrate traction? So demonstrate traction. Whatever you've got is better than nothing. Whatever you've got is better than nothing. Give me 1 second here. I want to hit LinkedIn, see if anybody's over there complaining. Yeah, nobody's over there even there. This is so annoying. I really try to do this for you guys, and the platform doesn't connect. So stupid. Okay, so I can see some of you liking and sharing. Thank you. By the way, invite your friends. I'll be here for another maybe half hour. So if there's anybody else we can help, let's do it. We had a small group today, so I'm going to just probably get to everybody, which is unusual, as the rest of you know. Okay. So demonstrate traction any way you can. How can you demonstrate traction when you don't have any revenue? One, anything is better than nothing. So start putting metrics on everything you do so that you can talk about it as if it were progress. So I mean everything that's not stupid. Like, I don't know, how many customers did you reach out to this week? Well, it was more than last week. Okay, that's something. How many clicks on your ad did you get on Facebook? Or can you spend $100 on Facebook or Google or LinkedIn, whatever, and see who's interested in this concept? And say, well, we got 87% of people clicked on this. And we can tell from the demographic targeting that they meet our ideal buyer profile. They work for large companies in a director level or above position in technology, et cetera, right? Like, make it up to prove your case and try to show bits and pieces of that story repeatedly so that you have something to say when you meet the investor. So if I get an email that says, I'm just going to read back to you what you said a little bit. Hold on. I'm a solo first-time founder, pre-product revenue, building a cloud infra tech SaaS. Okay, what can you do about any of those? Because if I get that email, I'm going to say solo first-time founder, okay, maybe, but pre-product, probably not interested. Building cloud infratech SaaS. That sounds cool, but that's not a new idea because you haven't given me very much. So I'm just being picky, right, to make the point. But I do know that it's expensive and it's going to take a lot of money. So that's 3 strikes. I'm probably not going to respond. And by the way, investors, well, some of us are dicks. Some of us really are jerks. But I don't not respond because I'm a jerk. I don't respond because I get so many of those. I just can't keep up. And every time you respond, then the person comes back with either more information, which has not been updated really. There's been no real change. They're just kind of arguing, or they're actually arguing and they're mad at you, right? There's very little upside for us in responding. So we just ignore it. It's not because we're trying to be difficult. We just got other things to do. And there's other businesses that are ahead of you. So, okay, so that's 3 strikes. So what do? Well, for traction, those are 3 things. I'm a solo first-time founder. Okay, well, what can you do about that? Well, I have a co-founder, and he's amazing, or she's got this advanced degrees, or is a buyer for these kind of services at a big company. So I'm not solo. Or if I am solo, well, look what else I've done. Ideally, something impressive, right? So make a case. That's a bit of traction. Next, pre-product, pre-revenue. Okay, well, that's kind of what I was talking about a minute ago. What can you demonstrate? Well, you're pre-product. Well, if you got any mock-ups, can you show me some diagrams or some designs? Can you make a video about it, post it on YouTube and get a bunch of likes? Can you, I don't know, anything, right? Anything is better than nothing. If I get an email like yours, solo person, which means you haven't convinced anybody else, and you don't have any product or revenue, so you haven't built anything, you haven't made any money. Why? Well, honestly, why would I talk to you? There's plenty of other people that got more than that going on. So try to fill in the blanks, right? And the third one, building a cloud infratech SaaS. Why? Like, tell me why. Are you an expert at this? Is there some arbitrage or competitive advantage you have? Why this? Why now? Why you? Like, again, I know you would say that if we had the chance to talk to each other, but that's what we need in an email. So the email still got to be really short, but it's got to be interesting because there's just so much competition. All right, so I hope that's true. I know it's true. I hope it's helpful to you. It's my opinion. It's not the fact, but it's my opinion. So let's keep going. Yeah, Alan, I'm happy to do the commercial. You can nudge me, but I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't post anything that I can see in the chat, so you need to post it again, as I said earlier. So I'm happy to do it, but you got to help me out. I can't read your mind, my friend. Okay, Sebastian, just refreshing here. Okay. Massive difference with pre-pandemic market. Yep. Trying to find funding alternatives, striking partnerships with universities and startup organizations, building an MVP on my own. Yes, those are all good things. In Luxembourg, there are service providers that usually have their own websites, make it difficult to reach them. Yes. You send a request, they apply within 3 days, which is time consuming. Yeah. That's why we built an online marketplace. Wait a minute, I'm switching people. Sorry, that was Sevinge O'Marley. Okay, Sevinge, we'll talk about that in a second. Sebastian says, thanks for the insights. Okay, good. I'm glad that was helpful, Sebastian. The other thing to do, and actually I think, Sevinge, I'm previewing your thing to help you both. I said there were 2 buckets. All that was my first bucket of like, how do you make the outreach more appealing? The other one is the research. Again, 80-20, the Fox reversal. Spend 80% of your time on research. Don't be emailing people who aren't going to respond, right? Why are you wasting your time? Spend a lot more time figuring out who's already had success in this space. Who are the investors that do this? Who has taken chances on a company like yours before? I'll give you a hint. It's probably founders like you who are like 5 years ahead of you, or maybe 10 years ahead of you, or 20 years ahead of you, and they've had an IPO. These people have money. They know what you're talking about, and they'll be sympathetic. That's who you should be targeting. Don't go in the front door of like some big VC firm, Andreessen Horowitz or Kleiner Perkins or whoever your dream investor is. Don't email me. I'm not a tech guy enough to know what you're talking about probably, but go find the other tech bros that can help you and email them. Spend your time getting in the right room and the conversation will go much better, much faster. Don't just, think you've got it figured out and then hit everybody that has a checkbook. That's just a recipe for frustration. That applies to everybody. Okay, Sebastian, cool. I hope that's helpful to you. Hope to see you again. Give us a like, give me a comment. If you guys can comment as well, that's helpful. Just trying to drive the knowledge adoption, right? Trying to help everybody. Okay, so now, Savage, In Luxembourg, there are service providers. They usually have their own websites. Yes. Okay, that's why we built online marketplace. Oh, handyman cleaning. Okay, yeah, I got it. Which group should we focus on? Oh, I see. It's a marketplace. Yep. Securing service providers to ensure supply. Yeah, so this is the classic cold start program. I just want to, Alex is still here from earlier. She says, remember, Melanie Perkins from Canva got 100 no's before a yes. 100. Yeah, absolutely. I would expect 200. And she was down in Australia, which back then especially didn't have a lot of venture funding. And she's a female, which has a huge biases. You know that less than 3% of venture capital goes to female founders, at least in the United States. And I would guess, I don't know, it's probably worse in other countries, right? So yeah, she had the odds stacked against her. And you need to do the research. So the only way to get that 100 or 200 down to a reasonable number is to do yourself a favor and do the research first. Okay, thank you for that supportive note, Alex. Okay, so back to 7. So the marketplace, the cold start problem here with marketplaces is tough for sure, but it's a ladder. I built many marketplaces myself, and getting the buyers and the suppliers and the demand at the same time is hard. The trick is to figure out which of them is most constrained, right? And in this case, it's probably, as you point out, it's probably the plumbers. What did you say? Plumbers, handyman. I said plumbers, handyman, cleaning, IT support. Okay, different kinds of. That's a big difference actually between handyman and IT support. So I don't know that that's all fits in one marketplace, but maybe up to you. This sounds like a local marketplace in Luxembourg. So in Luxembourg, they speak several languages. So maybe there's a language differentiation you can do to narrow the focus. But I would focus on the first dollar first. Who needs this and is going to pay for it? Well, it's probably the service providers, right? They have a budget for this, even for marketing, right? And then it's a ladder, by which I mean steps. I think about this like in terms of an onion. So start with the core group, and 5 or 10 people who are service providers. Convince them to list, and maybe you don't charge them for the first month or the first year or ever because they're your early adopters, right? You got to take care of those people, because if it works, they'll be your evangelists. And then you get 5 or 10 people that are users and try to put them together. And this might be manual. Maybe you're an IT guy and your idea is to build this whole platform before anybody shows up. That's going to be hard to get funding for. There's a lot of platforms out there that do this kind of thing already. And I think you'd probably be well served to not spend the time on the IT and just figure out if anybody cares enough to spend time on this business, even if that means doing it manually with like a simple contact form on the website and then picking up the phone and calling people to make the match. I mean, just to make sure this is real. I mean, it's been demonstrated in many other countries, so this isn't some far out idea. I get it. But is Luxembourg big enough to support this? This is a small place. I mean, compared to the markets that I work in, right? And is there enough to do that? And if there is, how are you going to differentiate? Because there are platforms like you should Google online. I don't know if you're going to build this all or you're going to use off-the-shelf software, but there are many services that build online directories, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about an online leads directory. You could do that off the shelf for less than $1,000 these days. So if that's the case, how are you going to differentiate? What's your marketing plan? What's your go-to-market advantage? How are you going to reach those people? And that, I guess. I'm just saying this for everybody. But and then it's a ladder. 5 of these people, 5 of these people, 10 more of these, 10 more of these, 50 of these, 50 of these, 300 of those, 400 of those. And it's back and forth. And there's no easy way to do it other than to climb the ladder one rung at a time, in my experience. And I would be thinking a lot about viral coefficients, which means for every dollar you put in or for everything you share with one person, hopefully it gets shared 2 more times or something, so that you have a coefficient, a ratio, like you put 1 in and you get 3 out, or even you put 1 in, you get 1.6 out, something like that. Coming up with offers that will help your audience spread it for you, like referral codes or discounts or t-shirts, free baseball cap if you do a referral, or thank you to our first 1,000 members party, or whatever. There's a lot of advice about that online, but what you're talking about, if it doesn't spread virally, is going to be really expensive to build. So I would back up and spend some time, if you haven't already, spend some time thinking about the virality of this and how to make incentive structures that encourage it to become the flywheel that you want it to be running without you, right? That's the dream of a business like that, is like everybody just shows up and they all just pay you money by participating. So I get it. I run several directories myself. So I hope that's helpful, and maybe some insights into the marketplace world. Okay, let's go to, yep. Yeah, Alex has some more good advice there. Yep, think you guys can see the chat. And then the IQSEC says, Mr. Scott Fox, would this advice also be applicable to novel deep tech startups? Yeah, I think everything I've said would apply there, especially because of being novel and deep tech. These are areas, obviously, that are new. It's novel, and deep tech is expensive. So you're going to have the same sort of issues. I think you're probably talking more about what I was saying to Savinj rather than to Sebastian rather than Savinj, because you're not building a marketplace. But building hard tech takes a lot of money, a lot of experts. And if it's novel, especially, yeah, you're going to have trouble finding people that believe you, right? That's what it comes down to, guys, is credibility. Like, hopefully you have some degrees and some co-founders and things that give you some credibility. But AI is one of those things where a lot of people say, hey, I'm an AI expert. And they don't have a degree from Caltech or MIT or whatever your equivalent is in your country, IIT or whatever. They're just kind of 3 weeks ahead of everybody else on the learning curve, right? And AI is moving fast. So if you have a novel approach and can document that, improve it, then yes, I think it's back to the advice I gave to Sebastian, which was demonstrate whatever traction you can. So you have some proof points that you show momentum. That's what investors are looking for, is growth or at least momentum. And then the other one, really do the research. Who invests in this stuff? I mean, there's so much money flying around the AI space these days. I literally wrote myself a note last week, like, how can I do more AI? Because, like, man, it's just like it's raining money at crazy valuations. So I would do extra research and see what you can figure out before you start pitching, because you'll just waste your time otherwise. There's only a small number of people on the planet who are going to have the expertise to understand what you want to pitch, right? Novel and deep tech. I wouldn't waste your time at generic conferences. I wouldn't talk to banks like we were talking about credit lines and stuff earlier. They're not going to have any idea what you're talking about. Okay, so looks like we're about out of questions. Anybody got any last shots here? I'm sorry that this wasn't more interactive as it usually is, but I think I've addressed everything you guys have posted so far. And Alan, I'm sorry I didn't see you post your show. I don't have the details, so I can't post it. So many thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Savinj. Where are you from? Did you say? Luxembourg. Yeah, you're Luxembourg. Sorry. I'm always curious how we reach. So I guess I'm going to sign off. So I'm sorry there wasn't more excitement today, more people, but please do give us a like and a shout and subscribe. Let me do my quick commercials here. You can go get started here if you're looking for lawyers, accountants, designers, stuff like that. That's a good one. And then our other services. I mean, the hub for all that is this logo behind me, startupcouncil.org. I really did build this for you guys, and I hope that it's helpful to all of you. Here's one I didn't mention, actually, Cake Equity. Cake Equity is a stock options management platform. So if you're building a company and you want to issue stock options to people, or if you want to manage your cap table for investors, this is a very useful tool built by founders for founders. And I'm an investor in this company. I was their first U.S. ambassador and advisor, and really excited about what they're building. So if that's helpful to you, check it out. This is the one we're kind of pushing today. Go get listed there if you want your startup to attract some attention. We have a newsletter, so if you get listed there, you'll be listed in the newsletters and get promoted to the audience that we have worldwide. And hopefully that will help you. You know, I can't make magic happen, but if no one knows your startup is there, no one's going to invest. So I'm trying to help you get the word out. And then probably the most popular one, let's see, startup events. So this is the calendar. So go check that out, sign up and get event listings. And then this one is probably our most popular one because that's helping people find investors. So you get on there and you can search. There's a category for AI, for example, and for marketplaces. And I guess I would encourage you guys also there's a caveat to this, but let me make the point first. If you're in Luxembourg or London or India, wherever you are, there are a lot more investors in the United States, right? The trick is, if you want us to invest, you have to have a US based corporation. Not because I don't love India. I'm going there next month, right? I got some speaking engagements in India or Luxembourg. It's been a while since I've been there, but beautiful, right? Happy to go there and spend time, but we can't invest for tax reasons. It's just the US government makes it, they basically take such a huge chunk of the profits compared to investing in US startups that it's not worth the time and trouble for us. So mostly we go for vacation or to speak at conferences like I do. So if you want to raise money from U.S. investors like me and others, then you would need to incorporate a subsidiary or maybe even move your company to the United States, the state of Delaware, because we have 50 states here. And the Delaware court system is the one that is kind of become the standard for venture capital investment. So you want to create a Delaware C corporation. And that way, and then of course you need to figure out how the money is going to go back and forth from your foreign currency and country into the U.S. But if you don't have a C corp in Delaware, U.S. investors, we pretty much can't look at it. Again, not personal, just business. So, all right, that's my parting shot. Okay. Well, thank you all for that, and hope that you are all going to have a great week. We'll be back again. Like I said, it's Thanksgiving and then Christmas, so I'm not sure when we can do this again. But if you want to join us on all these other places, and LinkedIn especially, it usually works. It's worked for a couple of years now. I don't know what's going on today, so my apologies. But hope to see you all again soon. Go get them. I'm going to go have lunch. Hope you do too, or dinner, or go to sleep. Good night.